How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Oh, I'm well. I'm so happy we're getting to do this today because we met through the Share the Mic initiative, and I'm so glad that we've stayed connected. And I love watching what you're up to and catching up with where you're at. And I'm thrilled that we're getting to talk today. Are you in a good
Um,
mood today?
well, I'm feeling a lot better than yesterday because yesterday I had that exam.
Yeah,
I woke
yeah.
up this morning and I was like, new day. We're talking to Fearne. Let's go.
Right, let's talk about that exam then. So you're studying mechanical engineering.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I didn't go to university. I'm not that way. My brain doesn't work in that way. Tell us what that involves, first of all.
Um, so I think I slightly overestimated my capabilities, but
No, you did not.
but yeah, the exam, unfortunately, at the moment, are very based on physics and maths, which is sort of slightly not what I enjoy. I enjoy the practical side of engineering, coming up with the projects, collaborating, that sort of vibe. I bounce off of people really well, and
Yeah.
obviously that sort of element has been stripped away completely. And they've rearranged our course to have all the group projects at the end because they sort of assume that by the end of the year or by the end of sort of June, we'd be back to normality, and we'd be back in uni. But obviously, we don't know.
No one knows. We don't know anything, do we? We don't know anything. And how are you finding that? Because I'm imagining much like my stepkids. Well, my stepdaughter was doing her mocks last week and the week before, all just kind of online, like very strange situation. How did you find that? Was it more stressful than normal, do you think?
Well, obviously there are sort of aspects that are easier. So I have my notes with me to help. But I think they've increased the sort of like how hard the exam is slightly, because obviously we have our notes, and it is so like mind-boggling that I have my notes in front of me on the same topic as the question, and yet still I can't get the right question. And I had 3 hours, 3 hours, and I ran out of time.
But it's always the way, isn't it? Because as soon as you know that you're under pressure, that's that horrible little mind trick that's like, oh my God, I'm going to start panicking because like there is a time limit. And if there was no time limit, you probably would have done it in 2 hours.
You know what I find very interesting? I have a friend in Oxford, and he gets 48 hours for his exams.
What?
Right? It's
What?
insane. I don't
That's not
understand
an
it.
exam. That's just like do some work whenever you fancy it and have some lunch in between.
But yeah, we once had an exam last year at the end of the year that was 24 hours. And I was like, this is interesting. It's more of like an assignment, but I'm not complaining because I
No,
have the time.
we need more time, especially in these weird circumstances where we're just like, what is going on? What, like you say, what does the future hold? Are you going back to uni in June in a physical sense? It's also up in the air and also bonkers. And I wish you well with all of that amazing stuff. But I wanna get on to your incredible career outside of university. So for anybody that didn't see your documentary Riding the Dream, can you tell us a little bit about what that involved and the story around that and essentially how amazing you are, please?
um, well, where do we start? Okay, so I ride at a riding club called Ebony Horse Club. I've been there for like 8 years, like fell in love with the place instantly. I would love for you to visit, by the way.
I would
Ebony Horse
love to
Club is such
visit.
a
Like,
cool place. I
I
think,
would love to. I'm the worst horse rider in the world, but I love horses, and I know how amazing this place is. So tell us a little bit about Ebony and why it's so special, because it is an incredible place.
so I sort of was a very horse orientated, obsessed little girl. Um, I was just one of the horsey girls in the class, if you know what I mean. And my mum found out about Ebony, and then I was sort of like, no way, in Brixton. And then I signed up instantly. Was on the waiting list for ages because so many people obviously wanted to ride horses. Um, but yeah, and I joined and rode the first horse I ever rode was this like grey pony called Fudge. I remember because it was so iconic. I was like, oh my god,
Fudge.
I'm here. But yeah, I rode there, quickly tried to become a senior, and started competing a little bit, doing trips here, there, and everywhere. And then it got to the year before. It was 2019, and this guy called Ollie Bell, who is an ITV presenter, he's also a patron of Ebony. He came up with this idea to try and boost the sort of media around Ebony and try and get more sponsors and fundraising, by including one of the members in the racing world, because the racing world obviously is quite wealthy and they'd be happy to support Ebony. So the quota was a girl that's 18 and ready to try out racing, and there were only about 2 other people that were over 18 or 18, and I was approached, and my brother really loves racing, so me and my brother were like, yeah, let's go, I want to
Yeah.
I didn't really realize how big of a race it was. I thought it was like a little pony race.
This is the Magnolia Cup you're talking about. It's a big race.
Yeah, I had no idea.
No, I wouldn't have before I learned about you. I don't know much about horse racing, but having watched the documentary and the clips of you on the news, like, this is a massive deal.
Exactly. I could not believe it. Halfway through into my training, and I was doing some proper research, and I realized that this camera crew was following me a lot more than 2 days. I was like, what is going on? Something suspicious. And then I was like, yeah, okay, we're doing something big here. And then I told my teachers and stuff, and they were like, don't you want to focus on your A-levels? And I was like, no. I'm okay, thank you.
Thank goodness you said that.
Yeah. I mean, part of me wishes I took my A-levels a little bit more serious, but we're still in uni.
So, you know, for anyone that didn't see the documentary, you were one of, well, I think you were the youngest rider, right? Is that correct? You were the youngest?
Yeah, I was the youngest, I think, ever.
Ever. And also, you know, all the other riders had much more racing experience than you did, and you won. You didn't won it. I mean,
just about. I mean, I failed so many assessments. There was a whole journey to it.
No, but you won it. Let's just cut to the good bit. You won. You won, and it's like, you cannot not cry watching that moment. Like, it's so. And Ollie, who you've talked about, is like bawling his eyes out with pride. It's such a beautiful moment. But you won. You had like Victoria Pendleton in this race and loads of really experienced riders, and you won it. And I mean, that isn't just luck. Like, I'm sure you're self-deprecating enough to say, yeah, it's luck, but it's not just luck. Like, that is also not only hard work, which, you know, we know that you had to put a lot of effort into this, and the training was, you know, really intense, but also I think it's really interesting to look at the sort of psychology behind it. And I wonder if, you know, what was going on in your head leading up to the race? Did you feel like there was a small chance you could do it? Did you have that self-belief to kind of really get you in the zone to approach that day with a positive attitude that could, I guess, override the nerves?
Well, I remember vividly on the day of my race, I had an interview in the morning with Good Morning Britain, and I said to them that I would come 3rd or 4th, but there was a little piece of me that was like, I'm so competitive in the moment, I know I'm going to try and go for first.
Yeah.
But realistically, I'm going to be honest with everyone. If the proportion in my mind of me winning was like a 2-3%, and then the rest of it was coming 3rd or 4th, I feel like the connection I had with my horse was the sole reason why I did well. Because I spoke to Vogue Williams just before the race, and she was like, I fell off my horse that I was supposed to ride in this race, and I'm riding a new horse for this specific race. As in, like, she worked on riding this other horse, but she didn't feel confident enough to ride it in the race. So she was on a completely new horse that was apparently a lot more safer and calmer. And I was just thinking to myself, I feel like even if I had the fastest horse ever, if I hadn't ridden it before and felt like I understood the horse a little bit, I don't think I would have actually extracted the potential out of the horse.
Yeah,
and
wow.
ride to finish.
I mean, it's a fascinating connection, isn't it, between human and animal. So am I right in saying this horse was Haverland? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So Haverland. So was that an instant connection? Like, you know, how I've never had that. I mean, I have it with my cats, my little domestic cats. Like, they trust me. I love them. But what is that feeling when you meet the horse or you're working with the horse and you just get each other?
It's rare. I think there's about 3 horses off the top of my head that I've ever sort of like meshed really well with. There are horses where I've like got it's an odd thing, like it's like a friendship.
Yeah.
There's some horses that I get on, I'm like, oh, this is fun, and then they do something a bit cheeky, and I'm like, you're naughty. Don't know what's going on there. That's a bit of fun.
I love that.
But yeah, Haverland straight up has never ever done anything to put me in danger ever. Not even the little naughty cheeky like spin around, nothing. He doesn't go too fast. He doesn't go.
He loves
too slow.
you.
To be fair, he's a very like solid guy. Like, he's one of those horses that hold so much respect in a stable. Like, everyone knows Haverland, even though he's tiny. He's a tiny little boy.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's so special and so gorgeous, and I love that relationship and you guys working together. It's a beautiful thing. And of course, you know, you were making headlines left, right and centre for so many reasons, not only being insanely young, but also because you were, was it 19 when you did the Magnolia Cup? 18? 18. I mean, crazy. Also, you were the least experienced, but also you were the first jockey to wear a hijab. And you know, you were history making and boundary breaking. And you have, obviously, off the back of that and your documentary, become a real role model. And I wonder if you feel that way, because often I think when people are looked to and respected and people really can recognize that boundary breaking motivation and determination, the individuals don't feel like role models themselves. Do you feel that way?
For a small while I did, I think, yeah, for sure. But sort of as everything died down and I went back to being a normal student, my brain was just like, we're done now. But yeah, just after my race, there was a period of time where I didn't digest anything, and I was just like in this sort of, I don't know, no man's land. My brain was just like
yeah, it's too much to process.
Yeah, and then I met a few people and started talking to people that I held at a massive sort of like respectful height. Yeah, I spoke to some athletes that I, first of all, didn't think I'd ever meet in my lifetime. and some people that I hold so much respect for, and they came forward to me and they said, you've done amazing. And I was like, getting that compliment from you means so much more. And when my dad finally was like, you know what, you did well, sort of like, you've done, my dad's showing any sort of like physical pride was just like, whoa.
So he's normally quite kind of grounded about stuff, but how can you be in such a circumstance? Like, this is huge.
Yeah, it took a while for me to sort of appreciate what actually happened. And to see myself as a role model, I say this all the time, but it's so strange because there are people who are the exact same age as me and they're just living, like my friends, yeah, me and my friends sort of like still communicate in the same way. Like, nothing really has changed too much within me. And I just feel like to be projecting this sort of like role model type level of information to people who are my age, and I feel like I'm the same as them in terms of experience and life, it just feels so foreign because I'm like, I'm just like you.
Yeah, of course. And you know, and that's a lovely thing, and you never want to lose that because you know, that's so important that you have that friendship base and that you do the regular stuff that you're always doing. And I totally understand that you know, that's the most important thing. But I wonder what the feedback has been like from the younger generation, perhaps, you know, young girls who didn't think that they could step into something new or push themselves to that level of excellence.
So I received so many messages just after my race, and I was really like obsessed with like trying to make sure that everyone got a reply, and I was like at it for hours. And there were so many young girls and even parents being like, yeah, I'm going to encourage my child to try a bit of horse riding. My daughter can really definitely make a mark in that field, I feel. And now that you're a trailblazer in that, in horse racing, who knows, maybe my daughter can follow lead. And I was like, whoa, yeah, let's go.
But that's so awesome. And that's also, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's like such a huge part of what Ebony is about, is diversifying the racing world. And also, I guess, just how horse riding, the horse world, equestrian world, is viewed, which is predominantly, historically, has been very white. Ebony are really pushing to diversify and give lots of other kids who might not necessarily have the opportunity to step into that space.
Oh, 150%. I will say now that there is so much of me that has been built up by Ebony, and being able to experience, like I've made friends and connections and opportunities that I would have never ever thought of, especially this race. But like, I've competed in polo matches. I'm sorry, have you ever been to polo? Like, it's
no, I've never been.
It's the most upper class like sport.
That's
ever.
why I've not been.
It is, yeah, it is very foreign to me. And I made friends and I played a match and it was insane. And now that I'm part of racing, they've made me ambassador for Great British Racing, and I'm also trying to promote diversity and inclusion within Great British Racing. So it means, like, in Ebony, they're doing an amazing job to sort of make horse riding a better and more inclusive sport, and not have this class divide. And then in racing, they're trying to follow suit and doing what they can. Now that at least I have done one race, I'm hoping to maybe do more in the future after this degree.
Good.
But yeah, like, now they have at least a figurehead to talk about the situation and try and hopefully, I was hoping somehow to arrange little tours or like get-togethers at racing venues. But obviously racing is not got spectators at the moment, so
yes,
yeah,
we need it all to kick back off again, so that, you know, everybody can get out there and do their thing, and for, you know, yourself and Ebony to do the brilliant work that you're doing. It's so right with something like polo. Like, I've definitely not been to a polo match, because it does feel like the only reference I can think of with polo is seeing like photographs of Prince Harry playing polo. Like, that's my sort of vision of polo. And it's funny because you don't even question it, do you? Like, well, why is that? But it's just, you know, a historic thing. But it's wonderful that that's all being opened up, and the horse riding. Because also, you know, I don't know how you feel about this personally, but anything that is an outdoor activity, something that's quite physical, certainly involving nature and animals, is so brilliant and impactful for mental health. And I wonder how you have found that. Like, how does horse riding improve how you feel mentally?
So I've always been slightly outgoing, but obviously that's been completely like astronomically emphasized now in my character, because of being thrown into these different situations. But horses themselves, I say this in every single interview that I'm asked, the connection between you and a horse, and riding a horse and taking care of a horse, build so many characteristics within yourself that you don't even realize like are building within you.
Wow.
Not only is it empathetic to have to learn to understand a different creature that doesn't speak the same language as you.
Yeah.
It's like this difference that you're trying to understand someone, but it's a horse. And it's a partnership as well. And also, like, when you're on a horse, it's like you're working in like you're working cohesively with this horse, and you're trying to understand and get to a goal, and you have to like understand and the words. Oh my god.
No, but it is almost like something you can't articulate, because it's a feeling. Like, you and the horse have a connection. Like, it's magical. That's such a beautiful thing. And, you know, I think that's why I love pets so much. Like, I think it's the most special thing to have an animal in your life and have that connection. And certainly, I think for our whole family's mental health, just even having cats is like the most beautiful thing. So I can't imagine it on the level of a horse, like, you know, an animal that you're winning a race with. Like, that's just a beautiful thing. And I think especially for young people, hopefully when all this, you know, COVID stuff, you know, we get back to some sort of normalcy, you know, young people that do feel a little bit lost at the moment or uncertain about the future, I think having some sort of really passion-led hobby is the way forward, because, you know, times have been really bleak recently, and we need things that make us feel really good without there being necessarily always, it doesn't have to be an end goal, but I think just having a hobby that makes you feel really good. So when you were saying earlier, so you grew up always loving horses, and you know, like a lot of young girls do, it's, you know, the whole having My Little Pony or whatever it might be. When did that switch into, right, I want to get on a horse and I want to see how that goes?
I rode a horse in Kent for the first time, and it wasn't really a riding lesson. It was more of like, you're a passenger and we're leading you around, and I was like, that'll do me. Do you know what I mean? I was like, yes, I want to keep doing that. But obviously it was far away, and my parents were like, kind of expensive. And obviously if I want to do it, my siblings also want to join in, and I have two other siblings. So they were like trying to figure out a solution, and my 12-year-old self was like on all these like horsey sites, like, does anyone want to share a horse in like Bromley? And I was like, because like, that would be the closest to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was trying to find a solution, and I was like trying to figure out if I could loan a horse or share a horse with someone else. I found a couple, but obviously they weren't. It wasn't ideal. You'd be paying like 20 quid a week, which a month would be a bit. A year would be a bit.
Yeah. And that's why then Ebony became this, you know, total sanctuary for you.
Yeah, they started up a few years before me, but I just didn't realize they existed. So I was like, oh my God, I could have known earlier.
Yes. But actually, better that you didn't, because almost like the timing is so crucial, and everything led up perfectly to where it's at today, which is genius. So hopefully, you know, when all this stuff's over and we get back to some sort of normalcy, you plan to race again. That's on the horizon.
Absolutely. Like I've said this so many times, as soon as I'm done with my engineering degree, I'm gonna dive right back into the racing industry, because I need a break from all these numbers and logarithms and transfer loop functions. Oh my God.
What does that even mean? What is that?
You don't want to know what it means.
No, I won't. Even if you tell me, I won't understand. So you'll waste your breath. And what about your engineering degree? You know, what do you want to do with that? What's the plan there?
Originally, it was just always, as I was going through school, I did quite well in my GCSEs, struggled a bit with sixth form, mainly because, again, I could relate to the mental health struggles that I was facing. There wasn't something that I was passionate about, that because I was riding, but all of the other sports that I loved, I had to sort of give up because of my studies. And equally, because of giving up time to devote to these sports, I wasn't really able to study efficiently, which was a weird like circle of problematicness. But yeah, what was I going to say? With engineering, there we go. I really liked I really liked physics and DT, and I did quite well for the most part of my studies. And my teachers were always like, well, you could go into engineering, you could go into this, you could go into that. And the only thing that I felt that would really resonate within me was doing engineering, because you're building things and you've got a bit of physics and you're helping, you know, like I did a project where I was talking about Kibera, which is a part of Kenya, that's a slum settlement, and they have no working
I've been there.
Have you?
I've been there twice.
Well, my mum's from Kenya, so I was like,
yeah, it's a vast slum. I think is it the biggest slum in Africa? Maybe it's vast, and it's you know, obviously it's really intense experience. I met some amazing people, you know, walking from area to area and meeting locals, and it's it's obviously very sad and heartbreaking at times, but some amazing individuals I met there. So was your project around sort of sustainability around that sort of community? What was your thinking?
So my mum's from Kenya, and I met this water systems engineer, and he was talking about doing sort of like WASH projects, which are water and sustainable health. And I read about this article talking about how, you know, doctors do an incredible job of individually curing illnesses such as malaria.
Yeah.
But if you strip down and take away this sort of like, if you strip down and take away the fact that there is no functioning water supplies, and you really look at the issue that is causing these diseases, being an engineer means that you can eliminate so many other problems with one big solution.
Yes.
And I was thinking about it, and I was looking into possible case studies, and I looked at Kibera, and my mum was traveling to Kenya at the time, and I said to her, could you possibly just walk or drive by Kibera and pick up some contact details of any villagers there, or anyone that could help me along with this case study. And there's this guy that I met who was a massive help. Obviously there have been little projects here and there, and he was involved in them. And he's a mini cab driver, and he was telling me how like difficult it is to find work within Kibera, and how it's sort of very isolated from the country. Like the police don't really interact with Kibera at all. And then I kept delving in and looking into what could be done, and I was liaising with him all the time. And then one night he just like nothing for a month, and I was like, what happened? Where has he gone? Turns out he got malaria, and he was so ill. And I was like, and he was sort of like easy breezy, just had malaria, don't worry about it. And I was like, whoa,
oh my God,
is that like a normal occurrence?
Unfortunately, it is. Unfortunately, it really is. It's, yeah, I mean, God, poor guy. And he's okay now?
Yeah, he's fine now.
And so, I mean, it's remarkable that, you know, your engineering degree is going to give you this skill set to be able to do, like, that's game-changing work, coming up with solutions like that. That's so cool. You're going to change the world in many ways, aren't you, Khadijah? And I say that with not a patronising bone in my body. It's just like quite apparent that's what you're going to do.
Oh my God, thank you.
Oh,
I mean, by the look of that last exam, fingers crossed, let's hope.
Oh, you're going to be absolutely fine. Oh my God, how you're just doing amazing things. I guess I want to sort of finish on this note, talking about what I was rambling on about before you jumped on this conversation, which is about self-belief, because, you know, you're doing lots of cool things and you're doing big stuff. You know, this isn't just like, oh, I might do this, might look into that career. Like, you're doing big stuff. You've already made history. You've already been game changing, but, you know, you're going to do that again for sure. And I wonder if you've got any sort of advice on self-belief, because even if you're not aware of having it, like, you've definitely got it in there because you're doing it. You're sort of living and breathing it. So what would your advice be for self-belief?
I think there are many sort of angles you could target self-belief. For me, it came from friends and family, very honestly. I'm a very social person. Not only did I have a very sort of loving background and family, my parents are very, very hardworking. And as I was growing up, that was instilled within me. And it was only brought out by the fact that I had such positive and encouraging friends. Like it was a weird one. I was surrounded by some very interesting people, and I made connections with people who saw potential within me without them even sort of saying it. They just encouraged me with everything that I decided to do. I had some very, very supportive friends. Yeah, that's surrounding yourself with positive people that wish you nothing but success is incredible, and without you even realizing it, in the back of your mind, allows you to believe in yourself. I had one friend that I was friends with during private school in sixth form, and she's a lovely girl, but she didn't quite, there was a part of her that always sort of tried to bring me down for some strange odd reason, and you sort of have to step back from that situation, not cause a fuss, but just sort of move on and try and spend time with people that won't bring you down. There have been so many situations where I'm like, I'm questioning my own like intelligence type thing, because the people around me are smarter, or the environment you're in and the environment you place yourself in is a massive it's a massive factor. And obviously during my journey for the Magnolia Cup, I had my brother with me, who is massively encouraging. I had Ollie Bell, and that man absolutely drove me like to success 100%. But yeah, also being able to reflect upon yourself and knowing that because obviously there have been patches where my mental health has dipped really badly. Being able to recognize that that's happening, do what you can to try and build away from that. But obviously just being self-aware and knowing when to sit back and have some time to reflect, because I do that a lot.
It's so important. And I think, you know, your initial point is really important, that you know, we have to remember we've got the agency to, if it's necessary, move away from people that are bringing us down, as painful as that can be. I think it is, you know, life's too short. We need to be around good people that are going to make us feel good and buzz off our ideas, and vice versa, that you can, you know, give that back to somebody else as well. So I think that is really beautiful advice, and I've loved talking to you. I can't wait to see what you do next. Like, it's very, very exciting as an outsider to kind of see what other groundbreaking stuff you do next. And everyone out there, go follow Khadijah, you know, share this video. I'm going to put this on my feed now, so, you know, share it with young people that you think need a confidence boost right now. It's so important. A lot of uni students out there feeling a lot of uncertainty, and I think it's really good that we keep putting positive stories out there and talking about good stuff. So Khadijah, I wish you all the love and luck in the world with your exams and everything you've got coming up, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, and this has been a very beautiful chat. Genuinely, like, made my Friday feel more like, woo.
Yay, me too. I'm ready for the day. Khadijah, you're an absolute legend, and thank you everybody that was watching today live. As I said, if you've just clicked on this now, don't fret, I'm going to put it on my feed so you can watch it at your leisure. Lots of love to you, Khadijah.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.